This right here explains so much on what is wrong with the current anime industry. You have these individuals that have seen how popular anime has been in these last 4 to 5 years, and they have came into the anime space to be able to make as much money as possible without actually fully acquainting themselves or even understanding the culture of anime and manga, and wearing a suit just to make as much business deals as they can, and labeling everything what they think it is, aka either adult content, or in this case, a shonen anime series. This is very disrespectful, and this is an article that I became aware of, and it's thanks to this interview right here from Marisa talking about her time as an ex-Crunchyroll employee, but also when she worked with Netflix as well. This is very informative, and this is an hour and 20 minute, video. I'll have this linked in the description if you guys want to watch it for yourself. It's very interesting. It really gives us a lot of good insight into just some of the decisions that Crunchyroll has made throughout the years, but also the decisions that Netflix makes and various other companies within the anime industry. Now, obviously, as you can see by the title, the main subject at hand is just how these people in suits have no idea what they're talking about when it comes to anime and manga, and that they will label things all adult content, even though it's clear it's not. Like, for instance, that means they're calling, let's say, Blue Box adult content. That means they're calling something that is just very slice of life-ish with no ecchi content, just very family-orientated, apparently adult content. It's pretty cringe, man, and it just once again shows the complete disconnect of the people that are in charge of these companies. They have no idea what anime really means to the community, but also them labeling everything basically shonen as well if it's not, for instance, adult content, is also very crazy. And I'll get into that statement in just a second as well about the shonen part, but this interview, though, is very fascinating, and I'm just, I'm going to let the introductions of this individual, just let her introduce herself, and then we'll get into talking about it. So I'm going to play a first few seconds here.
I'm so thrilled that you're here. And so just for those who don't know, I'm going to just read a little brief introduction as to who you are. So you are a veteran producer and executive with deep experience in anime, adult animation, and IP adaptations. Your passion for anime brought you to Crunchyroll and later Netflix, where you oversaw titles like Arcane League of Legends, Devil May Cry, Tomb Raider, and most recently you launched Culture Misfit, a consulting firm for animated film and television.
I did.
So basically, as you can see, that's her introduction, and if you go and look her up on LinkedIn, you'll see what she has done throughout the years, and it goes back quite a bit. It goes back all the way basically to 2007, but you can see when she really started diving into the anime culture and anime community was basically back in 2017 of November, becoming a creative executive of originals. She did that for 1 year. She was development and production executive of originals for 2 years and 1 month, and then she became a senior developer, production, and content executive in August of 2021 for 6 months. And then she eventually left the company after 3 years of working for Crunchyroll. She went to Netflix, and she went over and oversaw a bunch of different things like Captain Laserhawk, Devil May Cry, Dragon Age, Tomb Raider, and then numerous other projects on top of all of that. So she's worked at, Netflix as well, which she stopped working back in of March of last year. She worked there for 2 years and 7 months, and then now she went out to found her own, company or project, which is called Cultural Misfits. Don't really know too much about them. You can pause the video and read what they're doing here, but basically that's where she's currently working at and has been working there ever since for 9 months. Now that we know the background information of Marisa, we know for a fact that she's worked at Crunchyroll, we know for a fact she's worked at Netflix, and we know she's currently still involved in the anime industry. We could take her words pretty seriously. She is definitely someone that has been in the community for a very long time, and definitely has probably a good understanding of the anime industry, or at least the perception of what people view anime in the anime industry when it comes to main official companies like Crunchyroll and Netflix, etc. So, getting into her actual statements from this article, I'm going to go to this quote that she talked about when it came to the viewpoint of anime. So let's start from here, let's read this, and we'll get down to what she said. Animation producer Marisa, credited for producing Onyx at Crunchyroll and overseeing Netflix's animation state of titles like Arcane Season 2, Devil May Cry, spoke on the perception of anime within Hollywood. When asked whether there were common misconceptions, Balkus said through the Brandon Violet YouTube channel, aka this right here, which you can see by the actual title of the YouTube channel, This is where the source comes from. This is what she went on record to say. I think so, yeah. I think that there are some generations within our industry that view anime as adult content or something weird, which is really unfortunate. Or there are people who just associate anime with shonen anime and what's ever coming out of Shonen Jump and nothing else, which is really unfortunate because obviously there's every medium under the sun that anime offers. Yeah, I think those are the biggest misconceptions, or that anything that pertains to what women want to watch or consume has to involve magical girls in some way. So this gives us a lot of good insight into just what Marisa saw as an executive, as a producer for anime for Crunchyroll and Netflix, and what the common person in charge of production, or at least producing anime, thinks of anime. And this is pretty scary. And it really just goes to show, once again, why there is such a disconnect with, let's say, the community, and why there's such a driven push to censor a lot of content, and why we have seen an uptick of that to where things that normally would slide in old anime back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, and even sometimes the late 2010s, you no longer see as often as you once did, especially when some of these companies are involved with the production. It's pretty scary, and it also showcases that why there's just so much pandering to certain audiences or anime, for instance, like Shonen, instead of other projects as well, because they view everything as Shonen. That's what they view as, and if it's not Shonen, it's literally an adult anime or an adult show. That's what they view it as, and it's pretty crazy. It's actually crazy just to see this type of statement from an official, because this should come as no surprise from what we have seen, but it's still crazy, regardless. There is another statement that she went on record to say, which is from another article that comes from this exact same interview, and it says, they took it away. Former Crunchyroll producer reveals they tried to produce Splinter Cell and Captain Laserhawk, but Netflix outbid them both times. So what this article is, it's basically from the exact same interview, from this 1 hour and 20-minute interview, but this article basically talks about how Netflix, when she was working at Crunchyroll, Netflix would outbid Crunchyroll for licensing for anime. For instance, when it came to, like Captain Laserhawk or Splinter Cell, Netflix would just buy the rights instantly, and there was just nothing Crunchyroll could do. For those that don't know what this really means, let me explain. So, basically, when a company, is about to license a show to be able to distribute it into different countries, let's say in the United States, they need to buy a license for it from these companies in Japan to be able to, distribute it. And obviously, if it comes to the table, there's going to be a bidding war. For instance, let's say the starting price is $1 million, okay? And let's say Netflix and Crunchyroll both offer $1 million. And then, obviously, someone's got to win, so then Netflix is like, we do $2 million. Crunchyroll's like, okay, we do $2 million. So, Netflix like, you know what? Screw you. We're going to do $20 million. And obviously, as the bid goes higher, it's very clear which company has deeper pockets. Netflix. They do. It's very obvious. So, when you think about that situation, there's no way in hell that Crunchyroll could theoretically outbid Netflix if they truly wanted a series. So, that's basically what's being said here, is that Crunchyroll, multiple times throughout, the industry, has been outbid by Netflix themselves, which would explain why some things have constantly been taken from Crunchyroll, but also would explain why Crunchyroll is so greedy to soak up as many series as they possibly can, which gets into the current issue that we've had, for instance, with Please Put Them On, which we know that they do. They try to grab as many licenses as they can in an effort to make as much money as they can without probably doing a lot of research into actually what they're licensing. That's probably something that's being added on with this entire knowledge that we're getting with these interviews, or this interview in particular. It's very fascinating, I gotta say. I will say, at the grand scheme of things, what does this overall mean? Well, this shows that the people in charge of these companies really have no idea what anime culture is for a lot of people. They have no idea just how the community feels about things. They think that everything is either shonen or it is literally just sexual content. That's what they think it is. That's crazy, but The only way this is going to change is if all these big, people in suits are rooted out and these companies get completely changed in management. I mean, it's very clear that Hollywood is stepping into the realm of anime. We have seen it, and this is a really good insight into that Hollywood really has sink their claws into the anime industry, and they're not really going to let go. And what has happened to Hollywood as of late in these last few years, or even like a decade, we can say, is going to gradually happen to anime, and we are already seeing the effects of that clearly thanks to this interview alone. And that's all I'll leave it at. I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below how you felt about this. I will have a link to this YouTube video in the description if you want to check it out for yourself and watch the whole interview. Very good stuff. Highly recommend it. It's actually sad to see that this video only has 200 views, despite it being so informative, and even having someone that is an executive or an ex-executive of Crunchyroll on it. That's crazy to me. So give this video some love. Do leave a like on it as well if you guys do watch it or you click on it, because, this is some good work. I appreciate this. But again, be safe, stay healthy, and I love you guys. Chibi out.